Well, hello and welcome to another live edition of Squared Circle Radio. We are on the air right after Monday Night Raw. Thank you guys so much for being with us. I'm your phenomenal host, Mr. Podcasting Belcher. I am not by myself, though. Have no fear. You don't have to sit and listen to me by myself for an hour. I'll get to those folks in just a minute. But before we do, please make sure that you like this video. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. It means the world to us. It doesn't do, we're not going to reach out to you. We're not going to put you on an email list. We're not going to do any of that. It just helps us out a ton. Doesn't cost you a thing. Helps us greatly. We appreciate that so much. Let me bring the guys in. First of all, I have got the young buck, Mr. Andy York, of course, with me here on the show, and a very special guest from WSN, the Wrestling Society Network. Professor Bear is in the house, the man with the plan. Man, how are you doing? I'm so happy that you have that you're on the show tonight.
Man, I'm doing wonderful. I tell you this, I just told somebody that Jey Uso's run was not going to be long, and I called it just perfect.
Oh man, Andy, you and Jared talked about that last week. We said it was a real possibility that it was going to happen, and lo and behold, here we are, Andy.
Here we are, and the Survivor Series picture is getting clearer and clearer by the day, it looks like. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, it definitely is. And we're going to talk all about that, but we don't want to keep Professor Bear very long. We want to make sure that he is able to give you the goods about Wrestling Society Network. So we're going to cover all the Raw stuff, the SmackDown stuff. We're going to cover that in just a little bit. But again, we want to give him the platform to talk about this new partnership that we have with Wrestling Society Network. First of all, man, just talk us through how this thing came to be. It's such a great resource for wrestling fans for all kinds of information. Just talk us through how this came to be, why you saw the need for this in the digital wrestling space.
Well, it was actually my partner, Brady Owens, who came up with the idea. He started in 2018 trying to had his podcast and a couple of other shows, and he quickly realized that he couldn't do it on his own, that he had to have a good team around him. So he chilled out for a few years, and 2022 he decided it's time to relaunch again. So he put out an advertisement for people to do a podcast. And I happened to see that, didn't think much about it, talked to my wife about it. And my wife was like, well, why are you not jumping all on it? And I'm like, well, people don't want to hear me talk about wrestling. She's like, oh, please, you will debate anyone. You would debate God if he came down. And after about 30 seconds of talking to myself, like, well, that's kind of true. I would be as polite as possible, but I would debate with the Lord. So I decided to go ahead and send in my interview. About an hour later, me and Brady talked, and we've been rocking together ever since. So,
man, you sound like you fit right in with Squared Circle Radio, because I tell you, Andy and I would argue anybody to the death about the world of wrestling. That's for sure. It doesn't matter what the topic is or what, right, Andy?
Oh, absolutely. We love a good, healthy, respectful debate about wrestling. It's fun.
That's the thing about it, that no matter what side of the spectrum you sit on, in the end, we're debating. It's just what you feel, and just have a good time with it.
And you've got lots of people on your platform that are just have a great time. You have so many podcasts that you guys distribute. You have so much between your app and the website. Let's talk about the app first. Tell everybody just a little bit about what they can find on the app, where it's available, because we played your commercial the last couple of weeks and we've told people, hey, we're on this app, but there's so much more to it. Give our listeners and our viewers just a little peek about what they can find on the WSN app.
Well, you can find so much. If you are a big movie person, well, we have movies that have wrestlers in it. There's stars and they're pretty good. We have wrestling bios and documentaries that help you learn about the history of wrestling, maybe a particular wrestler. We have wrestling cartoons of different types of cartoons that are wrapped around wrestling for the kids or the big kid like myself. We have smaller indie promotions. So I hate if you're not 100% sure about this, WWE and AEW are not the only wrestling organizations out there. There are a lot of independent, small organizations that do terrific wrestling, have great wrestlers, and a lot of them help build the wrestlers to the wrestlers that you see today for the WWE and AEW. So there's a lot of great young talent that you can see before they become superstars. And it's great to get to see that. Then we also have a 2K promotion where we at the Wrestling Society Network thought, what would we do if we owned the promotion? How would we run it? So we came up with 2K is a very popular game. So through the 2K program, we have made a wrestling promotion. And the promotion also have a lot of people that are fans of ours. We put them in the game. We have a lot of indie wrestlers also in the game. It's wonderful. We have 2 seasons and it's coming up again for the second season debut. So that is very special. We have video game reviews. If you're like me, if you can tell in my background, I love video games. So we have a lot of different wrestling video game reviews, and it's wonderful. We have action figure promotion. It is one of the craziest things I've ever sat down and watched. For sitting to watch it for just 5 minutes, 2.5 hours later, I had to stop myself because I got so immersed in it. It's just one of the funniest, and I can't even explain how great it is. You have to just do it, watch it yourself. And again, we have a lot of different podcasters and they talk their style of wrestling. They may talk about certain indie. They may talk about WWE and AEW, or they may talk about everything. So again, we are trying to give wrestling fans a nice place to see it all. You have so much variety. And we just added backyard wrestling for you backyard wrestling fans. I will tell you this. Wrestling is wrestling for me. I respect the backyard wrestlers as I respect the pro wrestler. Myself, I may not be the biggest backyard wrestling fan, but I respect it. And we're out to give the fans every spectrum of wrestling that we can.
Hey, listen, and that again fits right in here with Squared Circle Radio and what we do, because our other partners over at SportsWire Radio, their hashtag that they always throw around is hashtag All Wrestling Matters. So over on the Wrestling Society Network, all wrestling clearly matters. It is a one-stop shop for all kinds of wrestling stuff. Bear said it. You've got cartoons, you've got docs, you've got figures, you've got video games, you've got movies, you've got podcasts. Everything that you could want is right there on the WSN app. It's available on Roku. It's available on Amazon Fire Stick. It's available wherever you get your apps. And you can check out the website. Of course, we're going to play the website commercial here in just a minute so you can see all the great things that are available on the website as well. But Bear, we don't want to take up too much more of your time. We just want to thank you so much, number one, for hopping on the podcast and plugging this stuff, telling our viewers and our listeners everything that you can find on the WSN app, but also for accepting Squared Circle Radio into your family. Man, we can't tell you how much we appreciate that. It means more than you know. People who are helping us get the word out, not only about our product, but just wrestling in general. We're all wrestling fans. We're all just trying to accomplish the same thing, have a lot of fun, talk about wrestling, but we appreciate you including us. And thanks so much, man, for hopping on.
Oh, thank y'all for having me. And thank you for being a part of the family. Again, I love your shows. It's just very entertaining, and we would be remiss without not having this great quality on our network. So thank y'all.
Hey, thank you, man. We appreciate it. Right now, let's hit you with that commercial for the website. Here's what you can find on Wrestling Society Network's website.
What we bring to you is a world of wrestling.
Do you want to know something?
Tell me.
WSN is the greatest. Join the society right here at thewrestlingsociety.com. What are you waiting for? Enter into a world of wrestling. Podcasts, promotions, community, shopping, content, schools, magazine, radio, and much, much more.
Man, love having that guy on board. Love being a part of Wrestling Society Network, man. What a great partnership. What a great one-stop shop, Andy, for anything and everything you could want in the world of wrestling.
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, the thing that stuck out to me the most and why I think this partnership is going to work so well together is because we like the wrestling with the fantasy booking at the same time, it sounds like. So it's going to be a lot of fun to check that out. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. And you know, we always like to have these partnerships that we can grow and get not just Squared Circle Radio out there, but like you said, get wrestling out there as well. So I'm looking forward to being a part of this partnership, and I know you are too.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see where it develops and what happens going forward. In the meantime and in between time, we are live right here on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. Drop your comments, drop your questions live. You control this show. We say it all the time. I've got notes. We'll talk about some stuff, but you control the show. You drop your comments and your questions in, and that's what we are going to answer. But first, Andy, let's kick it off with Monday Night Raw. I'm telling you, I was waiting for this. I don't know why it took so long, but they're back, Andy. The Wyatt Six coming and attacking the Final Testament with The Miz, which we need to talk about too. But the Wyatt Six attacking the Final Testament, and then chasing everybody off, chasing off AOP, and then Uncle Howdy trying to attack The Miz, but Paul Ellering knocking The Miz out of the way. Just lots of things to get to. Your reaction to just how this whole thing actually came about.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's been a minute since they've been on TV, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Sure.
I think overexposed. I mean, because when the lights went down, the pop that they got was massive.
It was big.
So the people were excited to see them. I'm very curious about this feud because even though I don't think the Final Testament is going to get the win in the end, I do think it's going to help them because I do think it's going to give Karrion Kross the opportunity to go like face to face with Uncle Howdy a lot more. Even though it seems like Miz might be the center focus of it, I still think obviously Karrion Kross and Uncle Howdy are going to have something to do with each other at some point. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what this is. I don't want this to be as long of a feud as the Gable one was. I kind of hope
Mhm.
this one's short and sweet, and then we move on to something else.
Sure.
But I really enjoyed what they did tonight. Seeing Nikki Cross just perched on the top rope as soon as the lights came up, I died laughing because she was always ready to just throw down. So
Yeah.
the moment tonight was awesome to finally see them back and to get the reception they got and just have them go after it. It was awesome.
Were you as shocked by this as I was? None of them were wearing the mask. Like what was up with that? Do you think there's that? Obviously it was intentional because they did it on TV, but is there more to it than just them not wearing the mask?
I don't think too much into it. I think if they're going to do the entrance and everything, they're probably going to have the mask just for the effect. But I think the lights down, back up. I think it's just they're there to fight. They don't need the mask. Like mask kind of get in the way, except for Uncle Howdy. I think Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas is the only one that will probably. I think we're going to see Uncle Howdy more than we're going to see Bo Dallas, which I think is totally fine.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I would hope so. Seeing as how that's what the character was. Was it Bo that did the interview this week where he confirmed that all of these guys are the ones that Bray picked for this stable?
Yeah, he did. I think it was a USA Today interview he did, but it was Bo that's confirmed that Bray's the one that picked them all.
That's so crazy. That is
Yeah.
so crazy. The Miz with the Final Testament. I mean, I know that he turned on Truth, but I didn't expect him to sort of join the group. Like, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think he's honestly in this group just for this feud. Like,
Okay.
I think that's the only thing he's in this, and then that's his excuse to not join the group is like, hey, when I tried to join you guys, these psychopaths came after you. I'm not about to do that. I think that's his solid excuse, but I think it's just for this feud. They need the 4-on-4 format. You've got Scarlett that's getting involved now as well with Nikki. So I think it all adds up that way. To then hopefully at some point head on to face Judgment Day before they split up, because there was some teasing about that tonight as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they go post Final Testament.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. We saw that again. This all happened after the war, not the War Raiders. Sorry, the Authors of Pain were defeated by the New Day in a tag team championship qualifying match. So that was a surprise win. I thought that was a for sure AOP win.
Yeah.
But the New Day getting the win. And then later on in the night, we saw Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee getting the win. So it's going to be a triple threat match next week to determine the next challengers for Balor and JD McDonough. So that is the New Day and Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and then the War Raiders who won last week. So triple threat match coming up next week. If you have to make a pick right now, I mean, I think this is War Raiders, right? All day long.
Yeah, it's going to be weird in like a month when two teams who weren't on TV like a month ago are tag champs now, because that's looking like what we're heading to, which I'm totally fine for. But yeah, I think the War Raiders are a shoe-in to win this.
Yeah, we'll get to the SmackDown side in just a minute, but yes, War Raiders, and then War Raiders versus JD McDonough and Finn Balor. That will be a fun match. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that'll be really, really good. All right, some sad news in the world of WWE. Well, not sad as in what we would think, but disappointing news. Let's say disappointing, Andy. My favorite ring announcer and yours, Samantha Irvin, is done at WWE. She was not fired, but she, I guess, I don't know if her contract ran out or if she just showed up to TV today and said, I'm done, or didn't show up to TV and said, y'all figure it out. I can't imagine that's what happened. But Samantha Irvin is done. Before we talk about her replacement, man, she is really the first person in a long time to take ring announcing to the next level. I mean, she literally just took what guys like Mike Rome, and I'll go as far back as saying Howard Finkel and Justin Roberts, took what they did and said, all right, I see it, I'm going to raise it. And dude, just incredible job.
Yeah, I you might push back on this a little bit, and that's totally fine. But I'm going to go. I think she's the greatest ring announcer of all time.
Oh, she's
in WWE. I'll say this. I don't think it's close either. I think she clears all of them.
Gosh, okay.
Because like Fink was awesome. Not going to take anything away from him.
Sure.
He was amazing. He's got that iconic voice. But what Samantha Irvin did was not just have the iconic voice, but she did things that helped characters most. I mean, the Chelsea Green introduction is iconic now. Like it's memorable.
It is.
You hear her calling WrestleMania 40 when Cody won, and you hear the raw emotion and the tears in her eyes as she's calling it. Like you can't fake that stuff. That is just pure talent. So I completely agree. I think she's going to be missed. I think who they brought in to replace her was smart to bring her in as well. Yep. But I do think she's going to be heavily missed. I already know she's not going to AEW because Ricochet was like, guys, she's not coming here. Don't worry about it. Yep. She's doing other stuff. Yep. But I'm whatever she's doing in the future, she's got a lifelong fan in me. I'm supporting her no matter what because she killed it. I texted Katie that she was done, and she was like, well, my day's ruined now. So Katie was a big fan as well. So just fantastic stuff. I love Samantha Irvin, and never say never. I'm not going to say she's never going to come back to WWE at some point, right, but we're going to miss her while she's gone.
I left out one name in particular, and I'm not saying this person is better than Samantha by any stretch, because I do think Samantha supersedes this person. But when I say that Samantha raised the bar as far as ring announcing goes, I think this person did that to an extent and does not get the credit that he deserves. And that's Greg Hamilton. I thought Greg Hamilton was fantastic when SmackDown Live came around and Shane McMahon was the commissioner and Daniel Bryan. He really spearheaded that brand, and he was in WWE all the way close to the pandemic, if not let go.
I think he was let go during the pandemic.
I think,
those first releases, I think he was part of that.
Yeah. So I was a huge fan of Greg. I thought Greg did a fantastic job. And I feel like he really, like Samantha, added things to the ring introductions. Again, I think Samantha was better, but that's the one name that I look at. I'm like, okay, that dude was really, really good. Tell you who else is really good is who they replaced Samantha with. Bringing back the legend, Lillian Garcia is back on Monday Night Raw. If the shoe fits, man, you better put it on. And I think she did a fantastic job her first night back in. Like you said a few minutes ago, smart to bring her back to replace Samantha.
Oh, she's fantastic. When I think of like ring announcing from my childhood of watching wrestling, I hear her voice. Like that's who I hear. She's fantastic. Obviously, her first night back, and she may have gotten like thrown into this position a little bit because there is some ring rust. There's some things that she'll get figured out. But I'm a huge fan of Lillian. I think she's going to knock it out of the park. I think the one iconic moment I remember the most from her first run is when she was doing introductions for Triple H and announced he was the former World Heavyweight Champion. He chased her like out of the ringside area into the crowd. Like to me, that's
on Twitter today.
Yeah. Like things like that are just hilarious with her. So I'm excited to see what she does. And she's just got that WWE iconic voice that everybody's going to remember. So I'm looking forward to seeing her in the future.
Yeah, I wondered when the rumors started floating around today that she was in the building. I wonder if it was just like a one-off, if they just brought her in just for the night and they were going to figure it out. I still think there's a chance that she's not the long-term solution. I'm not saying that she's, not good by any means, but I think there's a chance she's not the long-term solution. They supposedly announced it during the commercial break that she is the permanent ring announcer. I don't know. We'll see. But again, great to have Lillian back. I always missed when Lillian was gone and always thought she did a fantastic job. So really nice to be able to have her back in here. Before we get to the main event, I want to remind everybody, we are live on our YouTube channel. And if you are just now stumbling upon our show, this is Squared Circle Radio Live. We try to do this every Monday night after Raw. This is our regular weekly show. So if you got questions, you got comments, drop them in the chat. We will answer them live. We appreciate your support so much. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're watching on replay, you can still like the video, you can still subscribe to the channel, and you can still drop comments in. We'll respond to them as well. Again, we would appreciate your support so much in that way. All right, Andy, let's talk about the main event, because I was going to separate these, obviously, but you see the main event from Monday Night Raw and the main event from SmackDown now have decided that they are together and we are intertwined. So we need to talk about them together. So let's work our way from the most recent backwards. I know that's not going to make the most sense, but we're going to do it anyway. Tonight, as we were talking about with Bear just a few minutes ago, Braun Breaker regaining the Intercontinental Championship over Jey Uso. We called it last week, and that this title reign was going to be short-lived. I even called it on the Friday show 3 count, where I said I'm not a fan of them taking the title from Jey Uso already. He worked way too hard to get here. He finally got the spotlight as a solo competitor, and they literally just ripped it away from him. He had it for about a month. So let's talk about the Braun Breaker side for just a minute, because we know the Jey Uso side has so many rabbit trails we got to go down. Braun Breaker, new Intercontinental Champion. We were both shocked that he lost it to begin with, because he had just won it from Sami at SummerSlam. Then 50 days later, he drops it to Jey Uso. We thought he was going to run roughshod over the division. Is it one of those things, looking at it now, obviously it seems like they're taking the title off of Jey Uso to get him into this bloodline thing, but was it a mistake to just take the title off of Braun in the first place? Like, if he's going to be the guy that's going to get it right back? Because, and the reason I asked that question is not that I just wonder, because the next week Braun came out and shook Jey's hand. And then the following week he speared him. So it was almost like they felt like they made a mistake and they had to try to backtrack. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, kind of. Hindsight's always 2020. I think the best case scenario would have been having Jey take the title off of Sami, and then have this, like, tonight be the first time Breaker won the title. I think that in the long run would have worked better. However, I don't mind Jey Uso having a short title run, because I think after he won the Intercontinental Championship, that like solidified his singles run. To me, it did, at least. It solidified his singles run. He's obviously one of the hottest acts in WWE right now. Sometimes the hottest act, depending on where you're at. Like, people love Jey Uso, and I'm one of them. I love Jey Uso. I think the story is more important than the belt right now. Yes. And so I think putting him in and having the bloodline be the reason he lost the title, to me, makes the most sense. And I think it's, maybe it wasn't the original plan that they had strung together, but I think it's working to what they want, because now people are even more upset with the bloodline. People are now more upset with everything that's happened. And I don't think, even after this whole story, I don't think Jey Uso is just automatically in the good graces. Like, Jey and Roman are just tight now. I think there's still going to be some problems between them. I don't think the Usos get back together immediately either.
Right.
So there's no telling the post Survivor Series. He could go right back after Braun Breaker and go after the Intercontinental Championship and maybe win it again, or be a real contender to win the Royal Rumble this year in some ways, or even at WrestleMania, maybe he's the one that faces Gunther for the title. Like, there are a lot of directions that this can go in, where the short run actually will help Jey in the long run in a weird way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they take it. One thing that I took from this match, before we get into the Roman and the bloodline and all that kind of stuff, one thing I took from this match, I know that your eyes were bugging out of your head when you saw it too, is this face-to-face right here between Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu. Bro, we are printing money at this point once these two guys get in a ring together.
Yeah, this made me realize there are like 4 matchups I need to see Jacob Fatu in. I need to see him and Roman. I need to see him and Breaker. I need to see him and Bronson Reed in the ring together because they would just kill each other. And then him and Braun Strowman together.
Yes.
I just, I want to get to the moment where Braun Strowman power slams Jacob Fatu and Jacob just stands up and no sells it. Like I need that moment, like that level of chaos, because I love the Braun Breaker, Braun Strowman feud and the Bronson Reed and the Braun. There's too many B's. Bronson Reed and the Braun Strowman feud and the Reed's Rollins feud right now, where they're just like chaotically beating the crap out of each other every week. I need Jacob Fatu in one of those. And we're kind of getting it, but like I need it every week where it's on site. As soon as you see each other, you're just throwing hands. There's no talking. You're just brawling all over the place. I need to see that immediately.
See, I imagine if you look back tonight with Bronson Reed attacking Seth Rollins and missing the tsunami through the announce table, I imagine him hitting that on Jacob Fatu and Jacob just popping right up.
Oh, man.
Let's go.
Oh, I need it.
Oh my gosh. The dream matches for Jacob Fatu are endless. The dream matches for Braun Breaker are still endless on the main roster. So very excited to see what else he is going to do with the Intercontinental Championship. Again, let's backtrack. The reason that the Bloodline got involved tonight is this past Friday on SmackDown, Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline were in the ring. They were cutting a promo about Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, Jey Uso's music is the one that hit. Bro, what a pop that he got. I stood up. I was sitting on the bed in the hotel room in Florida watching this on a work trip this weekend. And his music hit, I stood up. I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What is he going to do? Dude, oh man.
Yeah, I popped for a moment. It took me a minute though, because when it hit, I was like, "Oh yeah, Jimmy." Because when it come, oh wait, no, that's Jay. Like that, it threw me for a loop for a second. Yeah, the pop that he got was massive. The whole interaction was just amazing. Of Jay just trying to talk to his little brother. The little brother's like, "I'm not your little brother anymore. I'm your tribal chief." And then him being like, "Why'd you go get them? Like we avoided them for a reason." And then he got in Jacob Fatu's face, and I'm like, yeah, I want to see Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu as well. Like, I want to see those two guys go at it. So yeah, I was excited for the potential of where this is going, and now seeing where this is going, I am on the train. I'm ready for this Survivor Series match, whatever it looks like, whether it's 4-on-4, 5-on-5. I am hook, line, and sinker. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I think the point that you made just a few minutes ago about how this Survivor Series could be a one-off for Jay, and he could easily go back to doing his single stuff. This promo on SmackDown proved that, because he got in the ring and he put the Bloodline in their place by himself.
Yeah.
And the people were totally behind it. It was totally believable the way that he was able to take command of that promo and to stand on his own. It just, Andy, it baffles my mind. The fact that we can look back at so many individual moments over the last 4 years, and we look back at Roman Reigns as the catalyst for making these moments, and that includes the superstar that Jey Uso is. Like, I know Jay's charismatic. I know he's great on the mic. He's certainly great in the ring. But the fact that Roman gave them the opportunity and I guess sort of shared the spotlight with them, took the extra year, beating Cody at WrestleMania 39, good decision or bad, and took that year, and Jey Uso is the guy that pinned Roman. And now look at Jay. It's awesome to see, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that when Roman ate, everybody that was involved with him ate as well. And so that's true from who he fought to who he faced, outside of a couple of people, because I will never forgive them for what they did to Balor at Extreme Rules. That was horrible. But outside of like those little moments, everybody that got involved with the Bloodline, I mean, they got better. You look at Kevin Owens, you look at Sami Zayn, you look at Cody Rhodes, You know, you look at Seth even from the Rumble 2020?
22.
22, yeah. You look at that, like you get that moment of just people who were in the ring with Roman and it elevated them. You can say it for Jey because Jey shot through the roof more than Jimmy did. But if you look at Jimmy Uso from where he was when this whole thing started to where he is now, like he's actually a person now on TV. Yeah. Like and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like for the first couple of years, it was just like, yeah, there's Jimmy and blah, blah, whatever. Now he's like a massive piece to this whole thing. And so I'm looking forward to when they're getting back together. I'm looking forward to that first moment when they're in the ring together and they just hash this out like the Shield did back in the day. Like let's just hash this out. Let's just go at it. Let's talk about it. I'm looking forward to that moment a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned Jimmy. I thought it was so funny. One of the things that I wrote down is Jimmy is acting like his old goofy self backstage. Like when he and Roman were sitting in the locker room and the camera slowly pans over and Jimmy's just sitting there and Roman like jumps and is scared. I was like, oh, that's classic Jimmy. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, I miss that so much. Speaking of that, all right. So Roman and Jimmy were not in the building with this interaction that we just mentioned with Jey in the ring with the Bloodline. Roman and Jimmy arrive. Who do they bump into in the parking lot? Oh man, you could cut the tension with a knife when this moment happened on camera. Again, I popped big time when this moment happened. I literally was so nervous. I didn't know what was going to happen, man. They are telling this story so beautifully.
Yeah, they really are. And, you know, the moment that got me was when Jey went to walk away and Roman pulled him back and said, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. Like that to me is what the character Jey has been looking for a while, is Roman acknowledging Jey as this single star that since he broke out. But he's still hurt by everything that's happened with Roman and everything that's going on. So yeah, that whole backstage moment, I'm glad we got like a little subtle hint of it. To me though, I would have much rather not had this moment and just had the one-on-one Roman in the ring and Jey unexpectedly shows up and confronts him face to face and they hash it out in the middle of the ring. But this moment in passing it was special. It was really cool to see it. And then when they walk away, Jimmy's just there like, man, we were close. Like we almost had it. We followed Roman. It was the whole thing was just great.
It was so good. And then later on in the night, Roman and Jimmy, again for the second week in a row, get beaten down. No Jey Uso to save them. He said he wasn't going to. I half expected Jimmy's music to hit tonight on Monday Night Raw. When the Bloodline was out there to at least help chase them off. But it did not. So again, it's the slow burn. We'll see what happens this Friday on SmackDown. And not just the Bloodline. Man, we're seeing lots of Raw and SmackDown crossover as far as rosters go over the last couple of weeks. I don't know what that means going into 2025, but it's been really interesting to see all these different guys just popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean that's the benefit and the curse of doing things like the Crown Jewel tournament or whatever they're calling it, where you have people from different brands feuding with each other. It's like you have to do the cross-branded stuff. I know like this week Cody invited Gunther to show up.
Yep.
So they're going to be face to face. I don't know if Nia and Liv are going to be face to face. I think so, potentially.
Potentially.
But I'm not entirely sure. But like you're getting that. I'm not going to be shocked when Jey shows up this week and gets revenge. There are people popping up. Tiffany Stratton showed up on Raw like last week for no reason. It seemed like
no reason, none.
So I don't really get it. I don't really know. But I'm kind of all for it. You just get the random pop-ups that show up. It works.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do for sure. All right, let's talk about 3 quick things from Friday Night SmackDown. We mentioned them earlier. We talked about the tag team division on Monday Night Raw. It's official. The Motor City Machine Guns debuted on SmackDown this past Friday, getting a win in a triple threat match to send them to this coming week on SmackDown. A dream match, if you will, going up against Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa for a shot at those tag team championships held by the Bloodline. First of all, the Motor City Machine Guns in WWE. I literally just said that in 2024.
Makes no sense. I never would have imagined them showing up in WWE. Like, even when their music hit and then they walked out, I'm like, this doesn't look real. Like, there's no way that they're on TV right now.
It did not.
I'm all for it, man. They came out and they absolutely killed it too. And I know, like, when their music hit and they came out, the reaction wasn't massive. But as they started to wrestle, you were getting Motor City chants, you were getting Machine Gun chants. Like, people were starting to get behind them. I can promise you, after this week when they face Gargano and Ciampa, people are going to know for sure who Motor City Machine Gun is. And I am dying. The kid that grew up watching TNA wrestling is being rewarded right now for watching them on WWE TV, because these dudes can go, and it's going to be really, really special.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, I mean, we're getting that match on free TV. That's just absolutely.
I'm fine with it. Give it to me.
Just insane to me. So, Motor City Machine Guns, I kind of wish they would have went to Monday Night Raw. I feel like there's a bigger hole in the tag team division on Raw. But SmackDown, great place for them, getting them in the ring with, like I said, DIY, Pretty Deadly, Theory and Waller, Gargano and Ciampa, just like they're Street Profits, all the things. They're just going to have some great matches. Yeah. They really are. Speaking of Gargano, Mrs. Gargano getting a pinfall victory on Friday Night SmackDown. Andy, I love Candice LeRae. We all know that. But were you as shocked as I was that this happened?
Yeah, I thought she was in the match to eat the pin. I didn't expect her to get the pin. That threw me for the. She pinned Bailey, dude, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I hope that this means that they're going to do like something with her outside of the speed tournament thing, which we were there for. But I'm curious to see where they go from here, because I think she's a great opponent for like a Tiffany Stratton.
Yes.
Her and Nia would be wild and would be interesting to see what would happen, but I don't like the outcome of that one.
No.
So I think this is just setting up potential like future challengers. I don't think she might get a shot anytime soon, although I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope she does, and I kind of hope she wins it. Like, put the belt on her. It's about time she won the belt.
I would love it if they put the belt on her. Probably pound for pound, I would say the best women's wrestler on the SmackDown roster right now. I think she's better than Bailey. I don't know anybody else on. Bianca's there.
Bianca's up there.
I don't know. I guarantee if you put Candice LeRae and Bianca Belair in a singles match, they would just absolutely
amazing.
They would just it'd be incredible. Speaking of the women's division and stuff that was incredible, bro, Lash Legend putting the beat down on Piper Niven. They put her over in a big way on SmackDown. My goodness.
Yeah, and they're putting them over on Raw as well. With this feud with Damage Control. I don't know what the future holds for them. I don't know if they're like getting called up immediately, but that was like a massive, massive win that I was not expecting to happen at all. Especially
the way that it happened. Yeah. I was like, man, like, I know that Piper is not top of the card. Like, I get that. But dude, I'm putting the picture back up here on our YouTube channel. If you're watching, like, look at the way, I can't even find it. There it is. Look at the way she is manhandling Piper Niven in this just incredible, man. It's like Bianca Belair 2.0 at this point, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. I wasn't a massive fan, but like as they're showing up more,
yes,
I'm liking them. Like, I think they're going to fit the main roster really, really well.
Yep, I completely agree. All right, man. SmackDown was loaded. Raw was loaded. It was a loaded week in wrestling. We're going to get to our fun list topic here in just a minute. But before we do, I want to tell you about our friends over at SportsWire Radio. They just celebrated 1,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel, and it's climbing. They have far surpassed 1,000. They are marching ahead to 2,000 very, very quickly. They celebrated that last night, if you're listening to this as we're live, they celebrated on Sunday night with a special live show. So go check out their YouTube channel and check out the fun that was had over there. But what is Sports Wire Radio, you ask? It's our partners. They've been our partners for forever. There's something there for every sports fan, whether you're a wrestling fan or not. Check out this word from our friend Tom Bryce.
Looking for all the latest happenings in the world of sports and wrestling? Well, you're in luck because Sports Wire Radio has you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. With great shows in the world of sports, such as the Pinstripe Chronicles, hosted by Uncle Tats, Donald Stewart, and Rob Barrows. New York Baseball Talk with Chris Bazaya and Rob Maraska. The Liftoff Jets, also hosted by Chris Bazaya and Sharman Phillip. Neil Villapiano and the Devil's State of Mind. Randy Dillon's Hockey Fan Chat. In the world of wrestling, Sports Wire Radio has you covered with Squared Circle Radio, featuring Chris Belcher, Andy York, and Jared Justice. Those sit-down marks with DB, Primo, AJ, and Michael. A work in progress, featuring the Mayor of Canton, Piles, and Glenn Abbott. You can catch all of these great shows and more anytime, anywhere, and any place via the Listen Live button on sportswireradio.org, and you can also catch Sports Wire Radio anytime on YouTube at Sports Wire Radio 6579 to catch all the latest happenings in the world of wrestling. Sports Wire Radio has you covered. It's all sports matters and all wrestling matters here on Sports Wire Radio. I am your host, the owner of Sports Wire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the owner of the Promo Wrestling Federation, and one of the owners of the Pride Wrestling Federation, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce.
All right. That's our boy, Tom Bryce. Andy, while Tom's commercial was playing, I'm scrolling through on the old Twitter machine to try to figure out, if we missed anything, because a couple weeks ago, after Bad Blood, Kevin Owens jumped Cody Rhodes in the daggum parking lot. So I'm just scrolling through Twitter right now. Did you see what the dark match was on Monday Night Raw tonight?
No, I did not.
A Philly street fight between Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Dadgummit, I should have been in Philly.
By the way, spoiler alert on the finish: 3 Crossroads, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I figured, but that's
Three,
nobody sees it.
Not just one.
It took 3.
It took 3.
You should have kicked out of 1, but that's fine.
Well, whatever. Anyway, speaking of Jacob Fatu, he's popping up all over when you hashtag WWE Raw right now. Again, we're live right now on our YouTube channel, by the way. If you're checking us out, drop some comments, questions. We'll take those live. I know we got another topic to get here too. But Jacob Fatu, have you seen this old video of Scarlett giving him a Canadian destroyer?
Yes, I've seen that floating around.
Bro, that is the wildest friggin' thing.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's get to this final topic. What is this final topic, you ask? What is this list thing we're talking about? Well,
You just made the list!
that's right. You just made the list. It's a fun new segment that we've got going on here. We appreciate you guys being with us. We like to throw some old school and some new school at you, and that's what this segment is all about. Andy, what is this list, we ask? Well, our buddy Aaron Grisham, who is not active in the chat tonight. I miss him throwing shade at us while we're doing our show and trying to throw us off. Aaron Grisham actually suggested this topic to me. He saw it floating around online, thought it'd be good for us to talk about. And also, this is inspired by The Rock's return at Bad Blood. So we are counting down the 5 greatest surprise returns of all time. Now, I have to give a caveat. When we're talking about surprise returns, we're not talking about like The Rock surprising us in Chicago ahead of WrestleMania. We're not talking about just any old surprise like we know this person's coming. Oh, and he shows up, whatever. We're talking about actual surprise returns. And as you see on the graphic behind me, and as you saw on the thumbnail, there's a couple of surprise returns there that will probably be included in this countdown. So we're going to talk top 5 surprises. Andy and I have not revealed either of these to each other, so it's going to be traditional. We'll count them down 5 to 1. We'll talk about them. I'm sure, Andy, There will be some that are the same, but I can guarantee you there will be some that are different. Just because if I know you and you know me, there's going to be some that's different.
Yeah.
So most of the time when we do these lists, you have an honorable mention and I have an honorable mention. I'm sure you've got a couple. What are some honorable mentions that did not make your top 5?
So my main honorable mention, and I wanted to put him on this list, but the caveat of the surprise return kind of threw it for a loop because we figured it was him, but we weren't entirely sure it was him. It was kind of the whole trail thing, but his Bray Wyatt at Extreme Rules, I think, has to be part of this. We kind of figured it was him, but it was still up to that moment of like, it could be like Karrion Kross. There was a couple other people,
Right.
but that return, if we're talking about not just surprise return, if we're talking about like returns of all time, that one is up there. Like it's ridiculously good to see that one. So yeah, that's my honorable mention. And then my other one was, I believe it was Raw in Philly when the Dudley Boys just randomly popped up for a run, like their run then, and the pyro just kind of hit and everybody lost their mind. That one was really special too.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. I didn't have either of those on my list. My surprise return honorable mention on my list, I'll give the caveat that we knew this guy was coming, but the return I can't not include it. And that's when Triple H returned from his quad injury in 2002.
Yep.
I mean, like, dude, we knew it was coming. They announced it, but bro, that return was just absolutely incredible. Like it was a Madison Square Garden. The roof blew off the place. Speaking of Madison Square Garden, this guy didn't make my list. He probably made yours. I'm going to go ahead and throw it up anyway. 2008, the return of John Cena in the Royal Rumble. Nobody knew it was coming. I don't think most of the superstars didn't know it was coming. Recovering incredibly early from it was torn pec at this time, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So John Cena returning in 2008. Those are my 2 honorable mentions. Now it'll be fun. I've got one more honorable mention that did not make my top 5. I'm not going to say it though, because it's on your list and we're going to leave that there because we're going to talk about it. So no, well, I'll leave it there. Let's kick it off, Andy. What's your number 5?
So my number 5 is from Monday Night Raw, and that is when Shane McMahon just randomly popped up. If you watch the Vince documentary, they show this moment again, and I forgot how good this return actually was in the moment because like the place went crazy. And this was my first real interaction, like seeing Shane McMahon on TV week to week. And so hearing the pop and seeing him come out, it was wild. So that's definitely number 5 for me.
That's actually number 5 for me on my list as well. So we have agreed on one, and I'm very shocked. But yeah, it's man, we, like you said, we relived this moment in the Vince documentary, and you and I talked about it. If you go back in our archives on our YouTube channel, or if you're listening on podcast, it's actually it's not available there. It's a YouTube exclusive. The Vince McMahon documentary review that we did. Go back and check that out. It's again, it's in our archives on our YouTube channel. We mentioned it, that we both forgot how incredible it was, and the chill bump moment of that music hitting totally out of nowhere, totally unexpected. Great surprise, great return. Number 5 on both of our lists. All right, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is at WrestleMania 33, and that's the Hardy Boys. Their music hitting for the ladder match. When New Day teased that they were coming out, boy, when their music hit, I remember I was sitting in my chair. And it's one like the few times that the music hit and I jumped out of my chair and lost my mind. It's such a cool moment.
It's such a cool moment that it is higher on my list. So I will give my reasoning in just a few minutes. My number 4 on my list is Sting's debut in WWE Survivor Series 2014. It's not technically a return, but it is a debut. But man, the weight of Sting never showing his face in WWE ever, and then finally showing this night in 2014, regardless of what it led to. We all know he had a feud with Triple H, and we can debate it till the cows come home if he should have lost at WrestleMania or not. We get it. We know his WWE run was lackluster. Okay, fine. But that singular moment of him showing up in WWE for the first time ever, it was the day that I subscribed to the WWE network, because there were rumors that it was going to happen. I put my credit card information in that day, tuned into the pay-per-view that night, and I was pleased. Let's put it that way. So the Stinger is number 4 on my list. All right, number 3 for you.
So number 3, I kind of cheated a little bit, but not really, because it's the same person, but it's their return twice. And it's from the same pay-per-view. That's Edge in 2010 and 2020. Both of those returns are just insane. The pop that he gets in 2010 is nuclear, because nobody was expecting him to be there. But then we get to 2020, and it's like he speared Elias on the pre-show at SummerSlam, and there's like, oh, that's the first time he's getting physical, like maybe sometime soon. We heard some rumblings that it might happen. It didn't take anything away from when that music hit, man. I remember like visibly shaking a little bit because it was happening, and seeing him run out there, I lost my mind. It was such a cool moment.
This is another one that I can't talk about yet, because as I'm sure that you're aware, this is a little higher on my list. That was your number 3. I tell you what, go ahead. I know where you're going with this. Go ahead and reveal your number 2. Because I think I know what that is. So I think I know what 1 is. So I think we're about to fall into we'll discuss these.
Yeah.
So,
well, my number 2 you've already mentioned, and that's Cena returning at the Rumble.
Oh, wow.
That's my number 2, just because of the sheer fact that this was like early stages and peak moments of like hating Super Cena, and that music still hit. And the place went nuts, and people cheered for him the entire time. And then towards the end, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're supposed to hate this guy. Like we're not supposed to like this guy." But they got so caught up in the return. That's why it's so high for me. Is just the feat of strength that he showed to return as early as he did, but then just like to change people's perspective on him instantly in that moment. It's an iconic moment.
All right, so you're number 5. Let's recap these real quick, because I'm about to get worried about you. Number 5, you have Shane McMahon, right?
Yep.
Number 4 is
Hardy Boys.
Hardys. 3 is
Edge in 2010 and 2020.
2 is Cena. So who's number 1?
Oh, why are you worried about me? My number 1 happened this past year.
Okay.
And that's at Survivor Series when CM Punk showed up at the end of the night. And I vividly remember me and my wife were watching it, and I was standing up because it was post-match, like the match was over, and I should have known better because I didn't have my hopes up completely. I saw the graphic in the corner, thought it was over. When that music hit, man, it was like an out-of-body experience for me of jumping up and down and dying. So that's my number 1 is CM Punk returning.
Well, see, that was my honorable mention. I didn't even put it on my list. In fact, I didn't know if you would go there or if you would go. I know we're not necessarily talking AEW, but
it's a toss up between the two, man.
If you would have included the first dance, was it first dance?
Yeah, the first
what
dance.
Called it? If you would have included that, I would have let that one slide, just because CM Punk returning to the world of wrestling and just what he's done since then is truly incredible. So I would have let that one slide. Here's where I'm worried about you, Andy.
Yeah, I know which one you think. I know which one I kind of forgot about.
Bro, it's number 3 on my list, and it's not even on yours.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 38, the return home of the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I'm not going to sit here and defend why there is 2 returns on my list that are better than this one. I have to ask you, where is it on yours?
I completely forgot about it because I blacked out when that happened. I don't remember it.
That's a
I
fair
don't
point.
remember it. I really I honestly don't remember it.
You did. I was standing beside of you when we were in the building.
I lost my mind, man.
You did black. I do remember that very vividly. Okay. But still, like hindsight being 2020 and how many times you've gone back and watched
It's
it.
been number 2. It's probably number 2. So like I would probably, if I can redo my list, I would bump Shane to honorable mention.
Oh,
And
that's
then
tough.
do Hardy Boys 5, Edge 4, Cena 3, Rhodes 2, Punk 1.
Oh man. Okay. Well, Cody is my number 3. And my number 2, we'll put them in this order. The Hardy Boys, just the way that it all happened. The pop might be the loudest WrestleMania pop of all time.
Dude, it's so nuclear. It's so loud.
It's insane, man. My favorite thing is to watch like fan reaction videos of this from inside the stadium.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, dude. It's incredible.
Well, they wrestled the Young Bucks the night before.
Yes, they
Like,
did.
it doesn't make any sense how they showed up at WrestleMania.
Yeah. And they had an event that afternoon.
Yeah.
Like it was the Hardy Boys something or other. I don't remember where it was. But they did their own thing. And my number 1, 2010 was fantastic, but there is nothing in the world to me that compares to the return in 2020 of the Rated R Superstar. You were visibly shaking. I was crying when this happened. Just, oh my gosh, dude. And I know that we're not adding things to this return. I know we're looking at like the individual moment, and the individual moment itself was just incredible.
Yeah.
But dude, to go back and watch the 24 documentary that they did on this, it just puts everything into perspective. And it's honestly, man, it's one of the biggest what ifs in the world of wrestling. And I know that that's a rabbit hole that we can go down, and that's a segment we can bring up in the coming weeks. But dude, what if Edge hadn't had to retire in 2011? Yeah. We would have never got this moment right here that is arguably the greatest return of all time. So it is mind-boggling to me how a dude, he says it all the time. It's like the ship wasn't set sail. It wasn't off in the distance. It was on the other side of the planet. No, not in sight anywhere whatsoever.
Yeah.
9 years later, he gets to come back. And then unfortunately the pandemic hits and we all know the story. But dude, I'm literally emotions feeling it right now. Yeah. This dude coming back, it's just incredible.
Yeah. It's, like you put him and you put Daniel Bryan Danielson's career into perspective of it's a miracle every time these guys lace up their boots and get in the ring. Like they're the kind of people, like they're seeing those two guys' story makes you like cherish the people that are wrestling now, because you never know. I mean, look at Big E. Like we don't know if Big E's ever going to get to wrestle again, and it happened so abruptly and so quickly. And so yeah, like moments like that you can't take for granted. What I love is, and I wasn't really a huge wrestling fan during the time, so I don't know, but I'm going to say at least for Shane, for the Hardy Boys, and for Punk at Survivor Series, maybe there were some talks, but nobody spoiled it. Like it was genuine, especially the Hardy Boys. It was genuine shock return. Like those moments that you can never really take back of like, I was not expecting to hear that music. And when you hear it, you just lose your mind.
Yep.
Like that to me is what makes a surprise return a surprise return. You don't know when it's coming. You don't know when it's happening. And all of a sudden it hit. That's why I love the Rumble. Like the Rumble to me is for these little moments that you get of just massive pops because you don't expect it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. And to me, like that's what solidifies Edge as well, because if you watch that documentary, like there were rumblings that he was trying to get cleared. You mentioned the spear for on Elias. There was rumblings that he was trying to get cleared. There was rumblings that AEW was trying to contact him, and he literally would do interviews and post on social media and he had to lie.
Yeah,
he said, I wanted to keep it a secret. I straight up lied. I said no, 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 and no, until everything finally died down. But the plan was always the Rumble. If he got cleared, and there it was. So creating another special Royal Rumble moment. And Cody Rhodes, yeah, we heard the rumblings. Yeah, we thought it was going to be Cody. But like you said, man, with the Bray Wyatt thing, with Cody, it was like, he started AEW. There's no way. There's no way he's coming. There's no way.
Yeah.
And then that pyro hit, that music hit. And now he's the face of the company, the WWE champion. I mean,
it's crazy.
When it's all said and done, that could be bumped up to number one, depending on how this whole thing finishes out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could. And you look at it like what's crazy is, you look at Shawn Michaels' second return, and like the second run of his career is arguably just as good, if maybe not better than his first run. Like his first run was really good. His second run is fantastic as well.
Yep.
You look at all the different runs like Jericho had in WWE of like just reinventing himself. I would throw this run that Punk's on right now. His second run in WWE is, I mean, he's doing fantastic stuff. The feud with Rollins and the feud with McIntyre. But you look at Cody, like this guy's first run was fine, but like nothing. The top moment of his first run, without a doubt, was him and Dustin winning the tag titles from the Shield with Dusty right by their side.
For sure.
Like that's like peak moment to him. That's probably even better than winning the title at WrestleMania in some ways. Like that, like that's a huge moment. But this second run, like from WrestleMania 38 on to like present day, he has been the top guy in the company. Like the top babyface in the company.
Yep.
And so it's crazy. And then you get to WrestleMania 40 and he's getting the nod to like from like Taker, and like even The Rock is working with him and wanting to do things. And you're getting guys like Punk who are getting involved and all
Cena.
of these different like things. Cena. It's just it goes to show like you don't know where your career is going to go. You just have to work to get there. And Cody's the living proof of it.
Yep. He absolutely is. And hopefully that run is nowhere near over, because they're on an upward trajectory that's just insane. They're setting merch records, they're gate records, attendance records.
Top 5 in Fanatics, I think, isn't he too?
He's top 5 in all of Fanatics, not just wrestling. All of Fanatics. We're talking about probably, Tom Brady, and we're talking about LeBron James, and we're talking about guys like that. Cody Rhodes, number 5. That's insane. That's insane, man. Oh my goodness. Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Again, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, make sure that you're locked in. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go back in our archives and check out previous episodes. If you don't like the full-length episodes, we've got the videos broken down into smaller chunks for you. So go check that out. Leave us some comments, leave us some reviews. We would appreciate that very, very much. And if you're listening on podcast, just follow on whatever platform that is. We would appreciate that too. Follow us on social media at SQ_radio. My handle is down there. Andy's is down there as well. Give us a follow, interact with us. We would appreciate that so much. Go check out the Wrestling Society Network app. It's available on Roku, on Amazon, anywhere you get your apps, website as well. We have Professor Bear on earlier. And if you missed that, rewind this video. Go back and check it out. He'll tell you everything that is offered on WSN. We're so happy to be partners with those guys. So happy to be partners with Sports Wire Radio as well. Tom, Bryce, and the crew have you covered. The World Series is right around the corner. Those guys love their baseball, especially because the Yankees are in there. I know a lot of them were hoping for the Mets as well. A Subway Series would have been nice, but they're going to have you covered on all your World Series stuff, as well as the NFL and everything like that. So lock in sportswireradio.org. Andy, next week, another pay-per-view preview, man. Crown Jewel right around the corner. Can't believe it, man. We are rocking and rolling.
Yeah, the biggest house show of the year, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my goodness.
I cannot stand this pay-per-view. I really can't. To me, it serves no purpose.
I know.
Except, it serves one purpose, and that's to get, your funds for the next 2 years.
Hey, listen, Divi's got to get that money.
You got to get that money.
How to get the money. That's right. Anything else to add, man, before we sign off?
Just another fun week in wrestling. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to another face-to-face with somebody in Jacob Fatu that I did not know I wanted to see until it happens, but I'm ready for it.
If you're putting money on it, who is it? I'll put you on the spot.
I'll say, this one's easy. Jacob Fatu and John Cena.
Oh,
Yeah, give me that. Or if I like a one-on-one proper Jacob Fatu, Randy Orton.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Those two.
Yep, that would be a lot of fun. All right, we appreciate you guys being with us. Thanks for hanging. We'll be back again next Monday live. We'll be live we'll be back Friday as well for another edition of 3 Count. Make sure you check that out. That way we wrap up anything we missed on this podcast. And again, subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. We would appreciate it. For Mr. Andy York, my name is Chris Belcher, and this has been another edition of Squared Circle Radio Live. We will catch you guys down the road.